When TV weather forecasters receive death threats for uttering the words climate change, when a California mother of 9 is murdered outside her clothing store for flying a multicolored rainbow flag, and when I mention the possibility of an existential threat to our way of life, well, I pretty much already know what the crazies are going to think. The difference, of course, is that I am not a cultist or conspiracy theorist. I am not under the sway of emotional prejudice or bigotry or self-serving stereotypes. I have endeavored in this video to take a close and critical look at the flow of recent events in order to understand what is happening to our cultural beliefs and values, to our cherished democracy. Are we under threat? Have we reached a crisis stage? These, of course, are complex questions, so let's approach them carefully from 3 different sides or dimensions, what we can call the personal, the social, and the political. It all starts with beliefs. On the one hand, beliefs are necessary to provide emotional stability. Beliefs filter incoming sensory information and guide our response to the world around us. Beliefs can come into conflict, and conflict creates stress. Stress, in this context, what psychologists call cognitive dissonance, causes us to, 1, fall back on convenient stereotypes, and 2, employ what neuroscientists call motivated reasoning to convince ourselves or remain convinced of what we want to believe, in spite of overwhelming evidence to the contrary. The end result is that how people view the world has nothing to do with facts, because facts no longer matter to those in denial. Ultimately, we enter into what is now widely referred to as a post-truth era.
Have you ever met someone that was so aggravating, so stubborn, and so out of touch with reality that they refused to look at objective factual information that disproved their point of view?
Decades of scientific research into how humans form beliefs and make decisions have clearly shown that when core beliefs are challenged, facts don't matter. We ignore facts and deny evidence to protect beliefs which are essential to our self-image. Some beliefs are so embedded in and central to our self-concept that our fundamental understanding of who we are would shatter if those beliefs turned out to be wrong.
Another part of the problem is that our brain is constantly protecting our worldview and sense of identity. So when our worldview is challenged, that same part of the brain that processes physical danger gets activated. This is why people sometimes react so aggressively to information that proves them wrong. And this is why it's often so hard to have an intelligent political debate.
So our brain kicks in to protect our self-image, to filter out uncomfortable information that makes us feel bad, and find emotionally satisfying information that makes us feel good. It should be noted that the brain's protective response is neurological, hardwired into the limbic system, and arises from an area known as the amygdala. We don't consciously distort the facts. The brain is programmed to automatically do so for us when our core beliefs are threatened. Neuroscientists use terms like protected beliefs to refer to the beliefs the brain circles the wagons around and defends, and motivated reasoning and confirmation bias to refer to the way the brain jumps through hoops to push uncomfortable facts out of the way.
Confirmation bias is the tendency of people's minds to seek out information that supports the views they already hold. It also leads people to interpret evidence in ways that support their pre-existing beliefs, expectations, or hypotheses.
The key takeaway here is that we are not entirely rational. Humans make decisions based more on emotions than facts. The validity of scientific sources is conveniently rejected when a conclusion contradicts someone's erroneous but deeply held beliefs. The threat here is twofold. 1, critical thinking and rational discussion have become increasingly scarce in public discourse. 2, which in turn puts democracy itself at risk, because democracy fundamentally depends upon what is increasingly disappearing in today's world, a common shared understanding of reality, and the ability in public debate to subject differences of opinion to critical examination based on reason and evidence.
Fact-based information is the fuel democracies run on. It's the raw material from which societies identify problems and formulate solutions.
We have just seen that we have other important goals besides accuracy, including identity information and protecting one's sense of self, and that often these imperatives make us highly resistant to changing our beliefs, even though the facts say we should. And to complicate matters, false beliefs can easily be manufactured and peddled and go viral on social media. AI technology, widely available in the public domain, generates fake images, fake audio, and deepfake video. Social media and the internet enables the rapid spread of fake news and disinformation. In fact, false information on social media makes so much more money than the truth that what has evolved is a disinformation for profit business strategy tacked on to an underlying surveillance capitalism business model. How does Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, which has now changed its name to X, make money? They sell people. They sell you and your friends and everyone who logs onto their site. Who do they sell you to? Advertisers. Advertisers are the customers who pay social media sites to show their ads to you. More specifically, what's being sold to advertisers is your attention span. The more time you spend on social media, the more ads you will look at. The more ads you look at, the greater the chance you will buy something. The more you buy, of course, the greater the revenue. The tricky part is that advertisers want to be absolutely sure that the ads they bombard you with are the kind of ads you are actually interested in. It would be poor business, for example, to target paraplegics with Nike running shoe ads. So how does an advertiser match their ads to your interests? In a word, algorithms. Every mouse click you make is monitored and recorded to predict your actions. Even the amount of time your gaze lingers on a screen before swiping to the next page is carefully noted. They know when people are lonely. They know when people are depressed. They know what you're doing late at night. They know when people are looking at photos of their ex-boyfriends or girlfriends. They know whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, or what kind of neuroses you have, what your personality type is like. They know everything about you, and a profile can then be constructed of your likes and dislikes, how much time you engage with what kind of topic. And then the algorithm, which now knows what you like, goes to work to recommend more posts on similar topics for you to watch. They create a rabbit hole of links and videos even more extreme than what you just watched, designed to suck you in and keep you engaged, allowing advertisers plenty of time to inundate you with tempting ads. The whole point of this business strategy, known as surveillance capitalism, 1, data mining, find out everything they can about you, and then use that information to nourish your addiction, lure you in and keep you engaged on a social media site for as long as possible. And 3, exploitation. Now YouTube or Facebook, for example, can sell your interest to an advertiser who then bombards you with targeted ads they know in advance you will be interested in. But there's a slippery downside to these algorithms. Because they know our likes and dislikes, they only show us information that we already agree with, posts and videos and links that reinforce our biases and our stereotypes and our pre-existing beliefs. Why is a news feed of recommendations matching your interests from places like Facebook or YouTube so insidious? Think about an analogy with Wikipedia. When you go to a wiki page, you're seeing the same thing as other people. So it's one of the few things online that we at least hold in common. Now, just imagine for a second that Wikipedia said, we're going to give each person a different customized definition, and we're going to be paid by advertisers for doing that. So Wikipedia would be spying on you. and Wikipedia would calculate, what can we do to get this person to change a little bit, to lean towards some commercial product, so I can then sell your viewing time to that advertiser. And then it would change the entry just to get your attention. Can you imagine that? Well, you should be able to, because that's exactly what's happening on Facebook. It's exactly what's happening in your YouTube feed. Even when you go to Google, a source we all trust and don't stop to think about much, and type in climate change is, you're going to see different results depending on where you live and who you are. In certain cities, you're going to see it autocomplete with climate change is a hoax or climate change isn't real. In other cases, you're going to see climate change is real. Climate change is causing the destruction of nature. And that's a function not of what the truth is about climate change, but about where you happen to be Googling from, for example, from a red state or a blue state, and the particular things Google knows about your interest. Even two friends who are so close to each other, inseparable, who have almost the exact same set of friends, they think, I'm going to my news feed on Facebook, and both of us will see the exact same set of updates. No, they see different worlds because their news feeds are based on what computer algorithms have calculated as being perfect matches for each individual. So what, you ask? What's the problem? What's threatening about a news feed of recommendations specifically matching your personal interest? Well, in a word, polarization. We tend to accept the reality of the world that Facebook shows us. Over time, we have the false sense that everyone agrees with us because everyone in our news feed sounds just like we do. And then you look over at the other side and you start to think, how can those people be so stupid? Look at all this information that I'm constantly seeing. How are they not seeing that same information? The answer, of course, is they're not seeing that same information. And when the information we're being fed is an outright fake, lies, conspiracies, hate speech, and so forth, well, the danger escalates. An MIT study showed that fake news spreads 6 times faster than the truth. We pay more attention to false information, and we engage with it longer. And therefore, false information makes more money for Facebook and its advertisers than the truth. Advertisers might ask Facebook to sell them 10,000 people who believe the earth is flat, and then they can be targeted with more conspiracy theories. Kyrie Irving, a well-known NBA basketball player, publicly ignited a firestorm in 2017 when he said the earth is flat. Later, he publicly apologized, said he was joking, and blamed his erroneous belief on a YouTube rabbit hole. All these things they keep giving to us, Mr. Irving said on a podcast, all this information, it makes you not want to question it. They lie to us. Damage was done, however, because in the wake of his statement, the flat earth conspiracy theory was recommended hundreds of millions of times by the algorithm, even to people who never in their life had shown any interest in conspiracies. But still today, even after initially walking back his flat earth belief, he waffles and refuses to admit that the world is round. In fact, most recently, he has shared Instagram posts affirming his belief in numerous other conspiracy theories. For example, that the CIA assassinated Bob Marley, secret societies are administering COVID vaccines to black people for some devious plan Satan is hatching. Irving refused to get vaccinated for COVID-19 and missed more than half of the 21-22 season because New York regulations prohibit him from playing home games. In his own defense, Mr. Irving has said, I'm not going to stand down on anything I believe in. I'm only going to get stronger because I'm not alone. I have a whole army around me. Note that this perfectly echoes exactly what we have already learned. First of all, facts don't matter when important beliefs are being challenged. In fact, challenge someone and they cling even stronger to their false beliefs. Secondly, bombarding someone with targeted misinformation, no matter how outlandish, makes them feel like they are not alone. Everyone else believes just like they do. It's got to be true. Surveillance capitalism as a business model has now partnered with a disinformation for profit business strategy. Manipulating our attention and nourishing our addiction to social media is clearly a threat to our freedom and independence. But there are those who also tell us that technology is an existential threat. Really? Scrolling? Clicking? Hitting the like button? Where's the existential threat? That computer pointed at you gets you to watch more videos? Where's the existential threat? Technology is undeniably a tremendous boon to our society. What's threatening is when technology brings out the worst in society. A rabbit hole, in internet parlance, is a cache of targeted content designed to drag you down into a time-consuming sinkhole and keep you there. Scrolling through posts and viewing videos the algorithm already knows will appeal to your interest. Rabbit holes isolate, they indoctrinate, they radicalize, they spawn and distribute conspiracy theories. As we have seen, social media algorithms are inherently polarizing, effective at hijacking attention spans, and thus good moneymakers. The more they engage viewers, the more money can be made. Where's the incentive for establishing guardrails, for getting rid of hate speech, lies, and fake news that polarize viewers into separate camps when polarizing keeps people online? Social media polarizes for profit and breeds the conditions for not just incivility and lack of trust, but for the chaos and culture wars which lead to dysfunctional democracies. Deciding whether or not social media has unleashed a dire existential threat should take into account the aforementioned consequences of a disinformation for profit business strategy. To briefly recapitulate, so we can get a running start toward this final dimension, beliefs, as we have seen, especially core beliefs essential to our self-image, to the very definition of who we are often emotionally constructed and thereby inaccurate. We ignore and even distort and lie about contradictory evidence in order to preserve our integrity. The tendency of human nature to protect our beliefs from criticism creates the climate for our so-called post-truth era and the prevailing attitude of, well, facts don't matter and rational debate is a waste of time. To exacerbate matters, social media algorithms create rabbit holes of polarizing realities, fake news and conspiracy theories and deep-fake videos that keep us both ignorant of and resentful of opposing ideas, and our attention spans shackled, solely to turn a corporate profit. It's no wonder that in the world of everyday social discourse, civility and compromise are rather quaint notions. What happens when these disturbing tendencies spill over into the realm of politics? Tristan Harris, formerly a design ethicist at Google and one of the founders of the Center for Humane Technology, has this to say in the Netflix original documentary, The Social Dilemma. Imagine a world where no one believes anything true. Everyone believes the government's lying to them. Everything is a conspiracy theory. If we don't agree on what is true or that there is such a thing as truth, we're toast. This is the problem beneath other problems, because if we can't agree on what's true, then we can't navigate out of any of our problems. We need to have some shared understanding of reality. Otherwise, we aren't a country.
This bill that was just dropped on us a few hours ago, that really is a piece of garbage. I mean, and that's putting it nicely.
Because American people are sick and tired of us being worthless, and we need to protect this country, because if we don't save this republic, no one else, around the world will be able to defeat a lot of enemies, foreign and domestic. And I'll tell you one thing, there is nothing unreasonable and extreme
that has absolutely no chance of becoming law.
Polarization is everywhere evident in politics. There is no consensus, and it seems taboo to even try to reach across the aisle to work with the other side, as Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy just found out.
Well, tonight, for the first time in American history, the House of Representatives has voted to remove their Speaker, Speaker Kevin McCarthy.
The office of Speaker of the House of the United States House of Representatives is hereby declared vacant.
What brought us to this point? A revolt of a small handful of conservative rebels, outraged that Kevin McCarthy cut a last-minute bipartisan deal with House Democrats and 125 House Republicans to temporarily prevent a government shutdown.
Equally disturbing is also the attack on truth in the form of disinformation and the war on reality. Science is ignored and expertise disparaged. Facts are dismissed with the label fake news or alternate reality. Deep fake videos from the Republican National Committee are already swirling online, attempting to target President Biden's mental fitness.
I may be 80 years old and I may have a few drops of dementia here and there, but I'm sharper than a steel blade and vibrant enough to outsmart the best tech geniuses around. Look, I was the one who helped pass Obamacare and the assault weapons ban, and I'm not.
But perhaps most disturbing, because it is more deeply ingrained in the body politic, is the disconnect between voters and their elected representatives. Twice in the past 2 decades, the president was elected while losing the popular vote. George Bush in 2000 and Donald Trump in 2016. Democrats have won the popular vote in 7 of the last 9 presidential elections. But during that time, Republican presidents have nominated 6 of the 9 current members of the Supreme Court. 4 of the 9 current justices on the Supreme Court were confirmed by senators who represent a minority of the U.S. population. This gap also surfaces between public policy and public opinion. On abortion, most Americans oppose the Supreme Court decision, which ended the constitutional right to abortion. On guns, big majorities favor proposals to tighten laws, but the gun lobby remains powerful enough to block action. On immigration, there has been a majority for some years favoring tougher border controls, along with a path to citizenship with some penalties for the millions of undocumented immigrants already living here. It is increasingly apparent that the will of the people is not being served by their elected leaders, and that American government is captive to minority rule.
Since the presidential election, a wave of new state measures to tighten voting laws has raised questions about access and integrity.
It is not so much a violent coup or insurrection against a sitting president that Americans have to fear, but the steady erosion of the electoral process currently gaining momentum in state legislatures. 19 states have recently passed new restrictions limiting voter access. 14 states have passed laws limiting the power of election administrators to certify elections, as well as imposing criminal penalties on election officials. Election boards in numerous states are appointing election officials who are sympathetic to false claims of voter fraud.
Show me what democracy looks like! This is what democracy looks like!
This is alarming. The threat to America is real. Rare bipartisan agreement is noteworthy in this regard, as reported in a poll by the Brookings Institute, that 69% of Democrats and 69% of Republicans said that democracy was in danger of collapse. And significant numbers on both sides believe that violence is necessary to restore their vision of America. What was once unthinkable, encouraging acts of violence to overturn an election, has become more common. Not just the January 6th insurrection and assault on the Capitol of the United States, but also smaller incidents, like the Michigan sheriff who defended militia members plotting to kidnap the state's governor. Politicians calling on militia groups to show up armed and outfitted in battle array to counter-protest at pro-democracy rallies. Donald Trump saying that America's top general, Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who was actually appointed to his position by President Trump himself, that he should be executed. The larger question is really unavoidable. Have conditions in America risen to the level of an existential threat, that is, a threat to the continued existence of democracy as we know it? By way of summary, ask yourself how many of the following essential foundations of democracy are in peril, whether or not responsible citizens can make informed decisions secure in the knowledge that there is a shared understanding of the same reality, no alternate realities. There is complete transparency and access to the truth. no fake news. There is widespread commitment to the civil evaluation of competing claims on the basis of reason and evidence, no arbitrary rejection of facts or science or expertise. There is a sincere effort to reach across the aisle to work out differences of opinion, to compromise on behalf of the greater good. No shutting down the government of the United States by a handful of hard-right legislators. There is trust in and a willingness to abide by fair election results. No unfounded stolen election conspiracies or death threats to election boards and poll workers. Given all these considerations, and they are just the tip of the iceberg with regard to the essential foundations of a functioning democracy, where does the evidence take you? To the threat level? To the crisis stage? Or perhaps we have fallen someplace even worse on the Richter scale.